I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there. I know the truth. So unless you were there, unless you saw it, don't spread gossip.
What up, what up, what up? It's your homeboy B. Watt, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Cancel B. Watt. And in this episode, I'm going to be discussing the highly controversial and highly polarizing Karmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf trial. This trial just started a few days ago, but I've been keeping my eyes on the situation for a minute, just like I'm sure a lot of people have. Now, Karmelo Anthony got into some type of altercation with two twin brothers, Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf, and an absolutely tragic situation took place. In Frisco, Texas, in early April 2025, an argument took place about seating under a team tent during a track meet, and this argument ended with Austin Metcalf being stabbed by Karmelo Anthony in the chest with a knife. This resulted in an immediate racial and political outcry on the internet because, well, Karmelo Anthony is black and Austin Metcalf was a white kid at the time of the incident. Now, some people believe that if the races were reversed, let's say that a white teen had murdered a black teen with a knife, the media coverage and the public outcry would be dramatically different. Essentially, what happened was black people didn't have any sympathy for the fact that Karmelo Anthony has stabbed this young man, Austin Metcalf, in the chest and murdered him in cold blood. Black people were almost implying that the kid deserved it, or maybe that white people as a whole deserved this. There were other people who believed that Karmelo Anthony and his family became the target of racially motivated threats and harassments and was not being properly protected by the legal system that was put in place to protect this young man, Karmelo Anthony. That's some people's opinion. Both the Anthony family and the Metcalf family have possibly raised over hundreds of thousands of dollars to be allocated towards legal defense and possibly relocate their families to safer areas. I'm not sure. There were unsubstantiated claims that the Anthony family had bought luxury homes and luxury vehicles with the donation money. All right. So this case got weird really quick. The lawyer of the Anthony family, who was initially hired, played into the racial backlash for this case. Austin Metcalf's father showed up unannounced and uninvited to the press conference that the family was having, and it became a complete spectacle. Austin Metcalf's father has maintained that nothing about the situation has anything to do with race and has publicly criticized the media and social media for using his son's death to instigate racial tensions. Obviously, the Anthony family disagrees with him. Now, once again, the trial just started a few days ago, but this is what we have learned so far. They do not have the murder on camera, or do they? They have footage that apparently sets the scene, but it's not quality, or is it quality? We're getting conflicting reports from the courtroom. So that's going to be an issue going forward because the prosecution was claiming that when the video comes out, people will have a different opinion of what took place. But here we are in the first few days of trial, and there seems to be conflicting reports about the video.
You seen the video with your own 2 eyes. Was it clear enough or was it fuzzy or what?
No, it was clear. It was okay. It's clear enough to where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the camera.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain or?
Yeah, it was still raining. You know,
right.
I'm familiar with him. So that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning. And we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day. Okay. So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already. And so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school,
Right.
coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those 4 that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract him a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past.
Right.
The other 4 went and they surrounded Carmelo. You know, if you're Carmelo,
And they showed it on that video.
it's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk
I'm gonna
up.
say little
And
stuff.
I'll put
while
it
you
this
talking.
way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things.
Okay.
So watch those 4. Here they're 4 right there coming up.
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Okay.
And so you have no way to be confused that it's those 4.
Okay.
So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so,
So they actually did jump him.
yeah, it wasn't just no touch. It wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push. It was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same time,
So it's
Carmelo,
more than the twins that got some licks
all
on them.
4.
So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you have Hunter and Austin standing in the middle,
Okay.
and you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag.
Right.
And then later on, he said that Austin threw the bag.
Okay.
Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both antagonizing. And we
Right.
know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you don't have to touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get into it here. But once they did that, they started hitting him. Karmelo actually was able to back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
Okay.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see that all the rest of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming. He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down. He fell. And that's when they realized he was gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that something happened to him. And that's when he went down a little bit and he fell down. But all 3 of them was chasing. But Karmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Karmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Karmelo's out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around. That's a true statement. He just wasn't sitting with it. He whipped his head around. You see him on the video. And that's when he walked over to where Austin was, but he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, he never did that, because the coach grabbed him and he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him, and we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted. By your own definition in your word of him saying that leave me alone and I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the not the photo that Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited, I have the emails to prove it, but the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck. And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it, and you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
Yeah, Julia. So that's in the opening statement. They were referencing surveillance video, and of course, everyone wanted to see video. We haven't seen anything. There's been a gag order on this case since the very beginning last year. So they start playing this video. There were 5 different angles of the video getting walked through from testimony by the forensic video analyst. And they were very wide-angle videos, Julia, and the witness had to talk about how he had to use this software to zoom in and try to make the video as clear as possible. And even then, Julia, I won't lie, it still looked very fuzzy and hazy. It definitely sets the scene. You can see what's going on, but even the prosecution distinctly said that you won't be able to uniquely identify anyone, but they referred to Karmelo on the video as the person of interest, and they referred to Austin Metcalf as the victim. Of course, as the forensic analyst has digested this video and dissected it and pointed out everything that we need to know, going through shoes and the type of clothing they were wearing. So we identified who each person was in the video, even though they kind of just looked like humanoid blobs. But you see, one thing that stood out to me, Julie, is that, I'm very familiar with track meets. I was under the impression that, when you go to a championship track meet, you have multiple tents on the same side of the bleachers. But in this video, because it's early in the morning, just before 10 a.m. when all this happened, the high school where all this went down, Memorial High School, it was just an isolated tent in the bleachers by itself. There were no surrounding, schools or anything in the general area. You saw some schools walking in, but I guess, the meet was just starting. But anyway, they identified Karmelo walking up the bleachers, kind of walking towards the tent. He kind of goes towards someone, and you see him standing there for a couple of minutes. Then you see Austin Metcalf, his twin brother, and his friends walking up and getting under the tent. And then once everything's happening under the tent, it just kind of looks like a blob of people. You can't really make out anything that's really going on for 5 to 6 minutes. And then you see a quick to and from. And they were implying that was like the push, the initial contact. You can't really see anything happening. Before then, you see people walking by. They're not really, turning heads as if something's loud and, something's catching their attention. But all of a sudden, you see that to and from, and then you see Karmelo, or who they identify as person of interest, who we're assuming to be Karmelo Anthony. He runs out from under the tent, and then he's running down the bleachers, sprinting a ways away from the tent and out of the stadium, onto the track and everything, towards one of his coaches. And eventually after that, we see another angle of the video where Karmelo's been taken into custody by police. Majority white jury. All the men are white as well. So the reports were true. No African-American people on this jury. I remember yesterday during jury selection, the defense raised an objection to the prosecution's strikes. In the strike zone, there were 3 black female jurors that the prosecution wanted to strike, and that would have been all the African-American jurors that were available at the time. And the prosecution says they did not strike them on a racial basis, but on an occupational basis, because they were all educators, and they thought that would hold some sort of bias because all of this went down at a school. But the defense's objection was eventually denied by the judge, and the judge, granted the strikes on behalf of the prosecution. So those are the only 3 available African-American jurors at the time, right before the jury got seated. That objection got denied about 15 minutes before it was seated yesterday. So majority white jury, 3 Asian women and 2 women of color, but no African-Americans at all.
So, not sure, senseless act of a boy that was in the wrong tent, and my son doing the right thing by telling that boy that he needed to be removed from where he was, and just doesn't make any sense. Says Hunter, did you want to talk to him?
Oh, man. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. I'm so sorry. He's a good kid. We just got a little altercation, and how it's really it, but he has a good heart. Everyone knows, everyone around here knows he's a great kid. He just one mistake from that dude, and just took my brother. He didn't deserve it.
If you don't mind, what happened?
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So yeah. That's just what I saw. And I tried to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that.
I know you were with him till the end, right? Did you hold him the whole time?
I did, and they yanked me off him.
Yeah, they had to leave. He had to be removed when they did CPR, and then he wasn't able to be in the ambulance with him on the way to the hospital.
So it was just like hard throbbing the whole time, the whole ride on the hospital.
How did you get to the hospital?
My dad came. I called my mom. My mom didn't know. She didn't answer. She was at work, and then she answered my phone. I told her what happened. She came in right away, and then we drove to the hospital. We're trying to figure everything out.
And it was a tense situation. The father of Austin Metcalf showed up to that press conference and then was escorted out by police.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to.
All right, so importantly enough, there are no African American jurors who were selected for this case. So an all-white jury in Texas, that does not sound good for Karmelo Anthony at all. All that GoFundMe money, all those donations for quality lawyers, and the lawyers have failed at the jury selection process. To be honest with y'all, I don't have a good idea about how this is going to play out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes legal cases is not about fact or fiction or true or false or guilty or not guilty in the real world. It's about what comes out and what gets proven in a court of law. First and foremost, you know, as far as Karmelo Anthony, you got to be a different type of dude to stab somebody in the chest. You know, there seems to be some conflicting reports. Did he touch you? Did they jump you? I'm not sure if the truth is actually going to come out in court. So I can't really determine my opinion about if Karmelo's life was in danger or not. To me, this should have been a friendly fade at best between Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. You have a trial in which there are a couple of white male jurors, there are no black male jurors, and there are no black women jurors. This is going to be extremely problematic for the public perception of this case. I'm not 100% sure if justice is going to be served on either side. This may just wind up being an all-around tragedy. 2 young kids, you know what I'm saying, with excellent grade point averages, big brothers in their family, leaders of their community have an altercation, and this is the end result. Possibly 2 lives lost. Because, I mean, we'll see if Karmelo Anthony winds up going to prison for the rest of his life or not, but we can all agree that his life is probably significantly damaged as a result of the public perception from this trial. So we have 2 kids, 3 kids, including Hunter, that and a couple other kids that are just out being stupid, and now everybody's life is forever changed because of it. This is exactly why the old folks used to always preach that trouble is easy to get into and very, very hard to get out of. So I'll be keeping up with this case. I'll probably make a couple of more videos on this trial as it goes along. But for right now, I'm interested to know what you all think about this, okay? Who do you think is at fault here? Do you think that Karmelo Anthony really got jumped by the Metcalf boys? Do you think that Karmelo Anthony was being aggressive towards the Metcalf boys, prompted them to have to remove him from the tent? What do you really think happened leading up to the stabbing of Austin Metcalf? Secondly, as far as the public outcry surrounding this case, do you think this case really has something to do with race? Do you think the Metcalf boys were being racist? Do you think that society is being racist because, you know, if this were a black kid stabbed by a white kid, you know, there would be people marching in the street, wearing T-shirts, right? Boycotting random department stores. I don't know. Like, let's just be honest for a moment. If the roles were reversed here, the black community would be in shambles right now. Finally, at the end of the day, do you think that Karmelo Anthony will be found guilty or not guilty for the murder of Austin Metcalf? I cannot personally see in any way, shape, or form how not having any black men or black women in this jury pool benefits Karmelo Anthony's case at all. There's so much racial tension surrounding this case. He is still in Texas going through this trial. I mean, how do you all think this is going to play out? So hop in the comments, let me know what you think. And also listen, like, subscribe, and tune in again to another episode of Cancel Be What.
Just to ask you this one question, like I had mentioned, the self-defense argument made by the suspect. What's your reaction to that if that's used in court or used?
You know, as a defense attorney, they're going to try every avenue. That's their job. The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened. My own son told me what happened. There was never a punch even thrown. So I don't care. There was never a phone broken. We've never had contact with this individual ever. So unless you were there, I don't appreciate all the gossip and all the mistruths that people are speaking at this moment.
Is that shocking to hear or read, or at least hear from me, say that that's what he told police after that moment?
No, what do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out of it. Now, I'm not saying he's a liar, but the truth and the facts, justice will prevail.